Here's some examples of the MLA system in use. First of all, in the Lanxess Arena in Cologne, it's about 120 meters to the back of this arena, and we've got 16 MLAs aside, covering right from the front to the very back without any delays. Now, typically, this arena is always covered with delays to project onto the rear bowl. With the MLA system, the coherence is so great over distance that we didn't need them. We also achieved a front-to-back difference of only 4 dB with this particular instance. Then there was a particularly pertinent situation in the Amnesty International Festival in Antwerp in Belgium, where we had, just out of shot here, we have some pavement cafes. And at this particular event in this town square called the Groenplaats, the noise police come along to the event and make sure that the levels are not being exceeded for the people that don't actually want to watch the show. And the limit there was 90 dBA. And typically in previous years, without using the MLA system, to make sure that the sound level is 90 dBA or under, then the crowd only get 92 dBA, which really is not loud enough for a rock and roll show. However, when the noise police came along to this event, they measured less than 90 dBA in the pavement cafes, and they measured 98 dBA where the crowd is. Excuse me. And that's just about loud enough for rock and roll, I think. And how we achieved that was by putting in the shape of that square into our optimization software and telling it where we wanted the sound to be and telling it where we didn't want the sound to be, and then letting the software figure out how to drive all of that DSP that's within the system in order to achieve those results. So the noise police looked at the meters, and they couldn't really understand how this was possible, and they thought that the meter was broken. So they went to get another one, and then they took the same measurements again and realized, okay, this is actually real. The meters aren't broken. They're telling us what's really happening here. And so they commented that the system was not normal because no other PA system could do that. And we said, yes, we agree with you. Another instance of MLA in use is the Waldebühne, the forest stage in Berlin. This photograph was taken about 100 meters away from the stage, and you'll notice there's an orchestra on stage. Now, at one point during that performance, there was 70 open mics on stage, and you can see the mix tent, that little white tent, about halfway down the hill there, down the bowl. And the mix engineer after the show said that he could have mixed the orchestra at rock and roll levels. As he was touching the faders, he didn't have to be concerned that the open mics on the strings would go off and feed back. And how we achieved that was telling the software where the stage was and saying, let's reduce the output from the PA system on stage as much as we possibly can. So we had an incredibly quiet stage. The Zac Brown Band took the PA out in the USA and immediately fell in love with it, and they won't tour with anything else. And so that led us to sell a system to special event services in the USA over a year ago. After that, we sold a big system to on-stage audio as well, and then we sold another system to Delicate Productions, who have been a Martin Audio user for over 30 years. Also, recently, USA, we've taken on Jim Jorgensen as product support, and he's working alongside Martin Ferret-Rowe. Both of them are here today somewhere. And Martin Ferret-Rowe does the technical training for the MLA systems. We also have got a new name coming to the UK for product and technical support, which we're not able to announce yet, but he'll be joining us actually later this week. One of the biggest shows that we did in the USA last year was the Oprah Winfrey televised finale show in the United Center in Chicago. This is an absolutely huge arena, bigger than the O2 Arena in London, and we had to combine both SES's and OSA's system to do this show. There was about 120 MLA boxes in there. And because it was a televised event, of course, people don't want to see any of the speakers at all within the shot, so the system was right up way above the audience's heads, but yet, using the optimization software, we could still tell the system, tell the software where the crowd was, and get it to cover the crowd perfectly, even from right up on high like that, and again, give a very quiet stage. Another example of noise pollution issues is at the LED Festival, which is in Victoria Park in Hackney in London. There's houses all around this park, and we used the MLA there last summer at the LED Festival and successfully had more level for the crowd and less level at the noise monitoring positions than with the conventional PA system. More recently, we've had the MLA in the Royal Albert Hall in London, and this is for a classical spectacular show. And At these shows, what normally happens is the orchestra get hit with a lot of level from the PA system and they can't hear themselves play properly, so they complain. And this is the very first show that's ever been done on the Elbow Hall to the memory of the people that have worked there, where not a single member of the orchestra complained. And again, the reason why we can do that is because we can put into our optimization software the shape of the room, we tell it where the stage is, we tell it where the audience is, we tell it where the walls and the roof of the building are, and then we can optimize where we want the sound to be within all of those different places. Brixton Academy. That was where Chickenfoot played earlier this year. Jim Jorgensen also mixes monitors for Chickenfoot, which are a US rock band. And so we got the opportunity to use the MLA system in that venue. And Michael Ace Baker, their front of house engineer, has fallen in love with the system, like so many other people have done, and it's now his go-to PA whenever he can get his hands on it. We also use the optimization software there to notch out the really deep balcony front at Brixton Academy. It's about 3 meters deep, and so if you're the artist on stage, you've got all of your vocals coming straight back at you with a conventional line array system, whereas with MLA, what we could do is tell the software that we didn't want any sound onto that balcony front, and it would actually put a hole in the coverage in between the stalls and the circle. And I took Michael Ace Baker up on stage, and I flipped from one optimization that covered the whole room to the new optimization that just covered the stalls and the circle and without the balcony front, and the vocals that were coming right back at us onto stage just disappeared into the reverb of the room. So you like that. MLA's also won a number of awards. I think the one that we're most proud of is the Plaza Gold Innovation Award that we won back in 2010. And this award is only given out when there's an outstanding product. If there isn't an outstanding product at the show that year, the award is not given out. And believe it or not, but not only was that something that we achieved, but we also were the first audio product to ever win that award. Then at Frankfurt last year, we won the MIPA award. And then at the LDI show, where there's the Parnelli Awards in it was October, November last year in the USA. We won the Indispensable Technology Award, and most recently, we won the Live Sound International Reader's Choice Award in 2012.
I'm Karel de Piere from Face in Belgium. A year ago we were very surprised by seeing the big brother, the MLA, but this really extends the experience. I think the size of the speaker, the compact, is really compact, and the performance is quite great. It fills a room, quite big room, 3,000 seater, with only 12 speakers aside. That's quite impressive. I think the automation system eliminates the human factor, and the calculations that this system can make within a certain period is never ever to be made by a human being in that time span. So it optimizes the frequency response over the whole venue, so I think nobody can be against that. It's definitely one of the most surprisingly nice sounding rigs I ever seen.
My name is Øystein Wili. I work for EM Nordic in Norway. We distribute Martin Audio in all 4 Scandinavian countries. I really liked it. The sound of the MLA Compact is really nice. Martin Audio makes, for me, the best audio systems. I've been using Martin Audio systems since early 80s, and it's better than everything else I used.
I'm JP Kavako and I'm from LMC Audio in London. Fantastic. I think Martin Audio's presentation of their multi-cellular technology in a more compact solution than the full-size MLA widens its appeal to an even greater market, and I wish them every success with it. I mean, with 40 years basically of history, there are a few companies basically that can match them in terms of development over the ages, I would say. But I think this technology takes it to a different level again, and I think it puts them a large leap ahead basically of other technologies that are in the loudspeaker market presently.
My name is Lars Wern and I'm representing a rental company in Stockholm, Sweden called DM Audio. Of course, I've seen the Big Brother before and I knew a lot about the technology behind, but it was fantastic to see this compact version and it really stood up to my expectations. And there are very many good sounding systems, but this technology will help in certain situations. Of course, with outdoor festivals and things, the way you can control the sound will help with all the regulations you have these days now, with keeping sound pressure levels at a decent level for the neighbors while still having a good sound pressure for the audience. In theater situation, I think it will be great because you will get a lot of game before feedback, the way you can control the system. It's impressive how much money and time they spend on R&D, and I think this is a giant step forward. Of course, I've seen it coming from Omniline, where we had a lot of good experience with the software for Omniline and the way it performed, and of course this is an extension of that. Yeah, I have many years with Martin Audio. We've been using it for Eurovision Song Contest for quite a few shows, and a typical situation where it's a lot of demanding for the sound system, and I have very good experience of it. So I think it's definitely up by the top speakers, manufacturers.
Hi, I'm Jaap. I'm working at the Dutch distributor TM Audio of Martin Audio. You can drive a BMW, you can drive a Mercedes, but you also can drive a Rolls-Royce, and I think this is the Rolls-Royce of the sound systems now. We really love the sound of it.